Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. So the consolidated Outland Pioneer was revealed to everyone during CitizenCon, so I wanted to take a closer look into what it is, what it's for, but also how it will work and the gameplay that's expected to come with it. Now the Pioneer is a ship that's capable of creating bespoke outposts for players from homesteads to farms, mining facilities, storage, pretty much anything you want. This does open the door to so much more in terms of gameplay, the economy, other jobs and careers, plus lots and lots of multiplayer and teamwork, which we will talk about soon. Now firstly, the stats. It is a heavy repair and science ship. It is capital size ship as well, so it's 200 meters in length with a beam of 125 meters, so it's very wide. The height is 30 meters. It is 35.6 million kilograms, holds 600 standard cargo units, has a minimum crew of 4 and a maximum crew of 8. There's also a breakdown of image of all the individual stats as well, but a lot of the information is still unknown until they get it into the actual game. For the panel at CitizenCon, it started with a new trailer hosted by the Consolidated Outland CEO, who is Silas Kona, and he just presented it. A very cool thing. I'll have it in the background, but we won't put the sound on too loud. But it all starts with land ownership. So you stake your claim, very much like in the 1800s in the US where it comes to land settlements. We know currently of cities, so Arcor and all these big cities on planets, and outposts, which we have seen. But also introduced later will be villages, so somewhere ranging in between cities and outposts, just to give that variety there. The land value will depend on a variety of criteria. Knowledge is the best way of explaining this. Land purchasing can be bought by individuals, organisations, groups, for building and placing either bases or whatever facility they deem fit. If you are in the UEE, you'll need to stake a claim. If you're not in the UEE, you don't have to, but it could be more dangerous, as in UEE space you'll have the protection. A bit like calling the police, the actual ownership can be transferable between players as well, which is good, but the UEE will take a cut. Now, to claim your land, you will basically find a place you want to claim and then place your beacon down. Then someone will have to take that location information to the nearest UEE colony office, planetside or wherever it may be, and get it locked to you by paying the money. This will generally stop others from claiming it. Now, when you do own land, it doesn't prevent others from extracting the resources there or being there. However, in UEE space, this is a criminal offence if you say so, and the law can be called to get them out of there and they will be arrested. Now, each section of the purchasable land will be assessed in many ways, which will create the value for that section of land. Number one is the resources that are present and the quantity. So is it rich in minerals that can be mined, and how much of them is there? The second part is the current market value. So this is dynamic based on the resources in the area. If it's an expensive resource, then obviously the price will be increased. Now the next one is, when was the information last verified? So if the info is old as to the commodities in this area or the value of the area, then it becomes less valuable, and players will need to refresh this land information, so scanning and looking at it again and then reporting that information. So there could be work in that area for just scanning land for landowners. The location obviously being a big one. So the example they gave is that if you found a field of copper ore close to a refinery, the price for that land will rise due to its proximity because it's so much easier to transport it there. The transportation costs will be low. And again, it's kind of like being next to having a sea view or being next to good schools, that sort of thing. Now, speculation is also important. If you're sitting on an abundance of a particular resource which is not yet valuable, but you can see that it may come so in the economy, like the price may rise for it, then waiting for it to rise in value before you start extracting it and selling it would be a good idea. But as mentioned before, if someone else sees it and comes along it and starts extracting it, then sitting on that resource will have its risk and reward aspect, which could leave you with some hefty decisions to make. Now, they did say that you can place sensors on your land to be notified if someone is mining on the ground, so you can hire mercenaries to patrol your land and keep watch. Talk a little bit later about that as well. But you could make a living literally buying land and then selling it once you have verified the value of that land, making a return without even mining or settling it yourself. So there's so many opportunities there. Now, knowledge in the game is fundamental, a lot like, literally just like real life. This knowledge can either be shared, or it can be sold, or just kept to yourself, which also brings the exploration ships. So scanning and scouting these areas in ships like the Terrapin, the Carrack, or the Constellation Aquila will create work for owners of those ships. And it is very much useful to go and find a location using an explorer ship before you send in the Pioneer. Don't just take your Pioneer in and settle and then find that there are no resources there. It would just be a waste of resources powering the Pioneer. Now, when we look at the Pioneer, you can see the arm on the far left-hand side opens outwards, providing a sense of a perimeter, so kind of like a wall. There's also a turret on this arm for protection. The area in blue is the crane. This moves along the rails, picking up the outposts and so forth. The yellow is the manufacturing area, where the crane picks up the orange outpost once it's complete and moves it to the front, so you can build more in the manufacturing area and place that outpost. There's a little demonstration here where you can see how the cargo is all rotated. Now, as a player, you will see most of this going on. You won't see it being fitted together in the manufacturing area, though they said, you know, magic happens when that happens, so they don't have a proof of concept for that. But you can see the bridges at the rear, then you have your habitation, the landing gear, cargo, and on the other side, the landing pad. The landing pad actually articulates away for more cargo storage. There's a staging area, which has lots of these robots that build things, and then the manufacturing area. Now, the images we got to see was the building in the habitation pod as it's being placed. In the bridge, you can see on the far right-hand side the architect station, where you will configure the outpost to be built. The engine room, they say, is a large open space with interesting turbines. The habitation mess hall is split into levels with the canteen above, and it looks to be additional seating down below where you can maybe watch TV and hopefully get views over the construction area. That would be very cool. A bit like the repair ship. Also, there's the bunk rooms as well, very utilitarian and very basic. So when it comes to building the actual outposts, you will need to collect materials either through finding and extracting them yourself or through shops and traders. Knowing what you're building first is very important to save on travelling back and forth, so ensuring that you have the appropriate materials and enough of them before you start building will save a lot of time. Also, different climates will change the wear and tear depending on where it is, so upkeeping and maintaining your outposts will be advisable. Again, this plays into another career role. But when it comes to configuring them, the interior rooms, you'll have a choice between habitation, armory, storage, med stations, mining, refining, and hydroponics, each requiring different materials. And then on the exterior, you'll have different add-ons like gas collectors, solar panels, moisture extractors, remote sensors, which is what will alert you to people being in the area, ore extractors, geothermal pumps, landing pads, and turrets. Pretty much like add-ons to the ship item port, so for your ships. And I expect over time you will see more variants to these styles of rooms as time and needs arise differently, so expect to see a little more variation there. We did get to see some internal shots of the type of buildings you can create. So you got your hydroponics, your mining, and your storage. If you're for storage, for example, if you're extracting ore, it needs to be stored somewhere. You can't just have it out in the open. But also things like a drug lab, so legal and illegal, research labs, science labs, med stations. The Pioneer creates work for so many different areas of careers. So haulers will need to transport materials to the Pioneer. Traders will, you'll be buying and selling commodities needed to construct items. Security, both planetside and in air, while you're building, will need to be around and employed. Exploration, scanning the land, making sure that they can find the best possible location for setting up an outpost. The repair and maintenance mechanic, so damaged outposts will need to be maintained and updated. Mining, you can set up a mining colony and have people working there full time. Same for refining. And also farming, so legal and illegal, making drugs labs and so forth. It is definitely a multiplayer kind of role, and it just, as I say, it brings so much more to the table when it comes to careers. The whole process of creating an outpost will open up so many more jobs to the rest of the careers as well. It's just such an incredible thing. Personally, I do love the style of the ship, but I'm mostly blown away by its direction. Having a ship so focused on industry looks incredible, and I can just imagine the gameplay following it will be very fun. Very rewarding. I also think it will be very profitable as well. You'll be able to make good money as long as you use it correctly and you're sensible about it. But companies like Schuben and Riari, we know that they make these outposts already. So having one of these ships, you could be hired and your Pioneer to construct a whole wealth of more outposts to different specs, landing you a very profitable contract with a company like this. But also private individuals, both AI and player-driven, would probably hope to create a bespoke home for themselves or a large facility, and that could work out profitable as well. Now, the Pioneer opens the doors to so much more, not to mention that as time goes on, the variation in other building types of similar sizes like homesteads and farms, these will come later on. Different building types and different building sets. So outposts are just the beginning. We're going to see so much more than this. I am very excited to see this come to life, and I would love to partake in it, although the price I won't be buying one, that's for sure. But it's nice to see a very much industrial focused ship rather than combat. I would love to know what your thoughts are on this. Have you even bought one? They're quite pricey. But anyway, just so you know, we are giving away a cutlass this week, so follow the top link to the Gleam giveaway there to enter for that one. There's also one more day left of this Child's Play charity fundraiser that we're doing where we had to shave our beards off, which is now done. If you saw the live stream, thank you. If you haven't, it's on my Twitch if you want to see us getting shaved in Germany. But we are very close to the complete $2,000 mark, which was our target. Myself and Gamble have been working very hard trying to get it up there. And thank you to everyone who has donated and supported us in just promoting it and all sorts. With CitizenCon being over now, I've got a lot of videos to catch up with. So I'm going to head off. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitch, Twitter and Instagram. And I shall see you next time.